and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Don Lemon is angry. He's furious. He's just furious. He's angry. He's mad. He doesn't like when people are critical of CNN. He doesn't like it when CNN is called out for its hypocrisy. So what exactly is going on here? What exactly is happening here? Well, as it turns out, Andrew Callaghan recently did a documentary about how corporate media perpetuates divisions in the country. And he's not wrong on this one. Look, let's be very clear on this. And I've said this on the show a lot of times. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CBS, ABC have done a phenomenal job in keeping us divided, which is why I say to you, my viewing audience, it's up to you to politely talk to your friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. If they're still hypnotized by the two-party system, help in any which way you can to wake them up, because the 5 big major corporate media outlets spew toxicity and keep us heavily divided. They once again distract us from the fact that we are being screwed over by our politicians. Our democracy no longer exists. It doesn't exist. We live in an oligarchy. And corporate media purposely, it's not that they're failing to do their job. They're doing this on purpose to keep you, the average American citizen, and I don't care if you're part of a boomer, Gen Xer, millennial, Gen Z, I don't care how you voted or who you worship or the color of your skin, the corporate media is purposely keeping you in the dark about how you are being silenced, how you are being screwed over by the system in power right now. So I'll pull up this video, and yes, Don Lemon gets a little bit angry. This is where I wish I had Farron here. Farron, I wish you were here for this segment. Shout out to Farron Balance, and also shout out to Case Study QB. He's wrongly being censored on Twitter, so please be sure to support him and his content.
In 2020, shit got super serious. Protests, pandemics.
Basically, slavery.
Remember that?
Freedom! We think that they're trying to steal our election. All you have are personal attacks.
Info war, not physical war. My name's Andrew Callaghan. This is the story of the events that led up to the January 6th Capitol riot. You ever feel like you've gone too far down the rabbit hole?
So joining us now is the director, producer, and stars in this documentary called This Place Rules, which debuts on HBO December 30th, Andrew Callaghan. Andrew, I mean, this is a lot. This is a deep dive into this documentary. Yeah. And there's so much to talk about here when it comes to who you spent time with, what you saw. But, when it comes to what's happening today, Enrico Tarrio, he was not at the Capitol on the 6th, but he still played a role in this, and he's facing some of the most serious charges that are stemming from that day. What did you see from him as you were shooting this?
Yeah, I just talked to him in the lead up to the January 6th Capitol riot. Just hung out with him a little bit in DC and Miami and elsewhere.
And what did you learn about him?
He sells T-shirts. He's the chairman of the Proud Boys. Yeah.
I kind of like where this interview is going, because obviously these two, Don Lemon and his co-host, they're not ready for somebody like Andrew.
So no details about his involvement, his state of mind, or anything?
I mean, I don't think the movie's not just about like the Capitol riot and all that. It's also about like media echo chambers. You know what I mean? And like the dangers of the 24-hour news cycle, and how I think mainstream media like Fox and even CNN like competes for views by running constant 24-hour news cycles based upon fear, division, outrage, and panic, probably to like sell ads. So it's not just about the Capitol riot.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. First of all, I don't agree with what you're.
Oh, Don, come on. That's not how you run an interview. Like, I don't agree with you. Hold on. We're going to play that again, because I think it's probably the first time in a long time anyone really kind of called out the fact that both Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all these large media outlets, especially those that are involved in the 24-hour news circuit like MSNBC, CNN, and Fox, purposely run these news to, again, foment fear, cause further divisions, and create more talking points. And remember, CNN, MSNBC cater to the central Democrats, corporate Democrats. Fox News caters to corporate Republicans. Both will, all three will always cater to corporations, Wall Street executives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But notice, they'll always have talking points that'll benefit their perspective and their point of view. Corporate media did its job in dividing us, and it's been very successful so far. So we're going to rewind that again, just so that all of you could see that.
24-hour news cycle and how it's I mean, I don't think the movie's not just about like the Capitol riot and all that. It's also about like media echo chambers. You know what I mean? And like the dangers of the 24-hour news cycle and how I think mainstream media like Fox and even CNN like competes for views by running constant 24-hour news cycles based upon fear, division, outrage, and panic, probably to like sell ads. So it's not just about the Capitol riot.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. First of all, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I'm not exactly sure of how that played into people going into the Capitol and rioting on January 6th.
Now, hold on. There's a couple of people want to call up here in the live stream chats. First of all, on Twitch, Roland Ross says, it's as though Don Lemon's paycheck depends on him approving of how CNN conducted itself. Yes, the thing is, all these corporate bastards on any of these media platforms have to approve of how news is being presented to the American people. But we have institutions and corporations controlling our media. You could thank Bill Clinton for that, for the 1996 Telecom Act. And by the way, again, Don Lemon, I don't know how you can be so loyal to CNN after they took away your primetime spot and now you're doing the morning show. That's not good. That's not good. So there you go. We also got John Kemper, who writes, who screened this guy? Probably the people at CNN are thinking that. And Illinois says, this is the state of journalism, WTF. Let's see what else we got here. Carlos Von Chang says, I'm waiting for this guest to yell, Baba Booey! Baba Booey! Baba Booey! There you go. Carlos Von Chang, I'm not sure how our state propaganda would influence the public.
There's nothing fake about CNN.
Oh, I'm not saying like fake news. I'm just saying ramping people up and increasing division during that period of time. Just watching people kind of fall down the rabbit hole and be pushed into action and like just, yeah, falling down the conspiracy rabbit hole.
Yeah, I think more people would consider, what's happening online and what happened with the former president and the messaging that he was putting out there and QAnon and so forth.
I definitely agree 100% with that as well.
Yeah. So listen, there are.
And let's see, we got Willa Black who says, there's nothing fake about CNN. Yeah. CNN, the only media outlet to create a streaming service that went bankrupt in a month. $250 million. Just give me $1 million and I could run my own. Never mind. Anyways, again, how can anyone take CNN seriously?
Are literally so many jaw-dropping moments in your documentary, including a weightlifting scene with conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Yeah, for sure. He can bench press a lot, actually.
Why would you put that in? Why'd you spend so much time with him, and why is he such a big part of this film?
Well, I mean,
so in other words, like, how could you do that? You should have checked his public opinion first. Well, first of all, that's Andrew's film. He can do whatever he wants. And you know what? I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to have him on our show. I'm going to see if I can get him on Hard Lens Media. So there you go. But, obviously good old Donnie doesn't like how he interviewed certain people. See, again, it's a documentary video. I'm already, after watching this video previously before the show started, I want to see this documentary too. I want to see just what's presented. And I, as a viewer, have a right to see it. So if he's going to have, somebody from the Proud Boys or Alex Jones on, I want to see what's being said.
And, I just think that like whenever we were filming for the documentary, there was just certain moments that were super surreal that just kind of happened. And I felt like we had to kind of leave the footage in. So the Alex Jones weightlifting, whiskey drinking scene would also be one of those moments that I couldn't like leave out of the movie, for sure.
One thing that also stood out was what you heard from people when it comes to like conspiracy theories. I mean, there were parts where like children were shouting conspiracy theories. And I wondered, as you talked to these people, if you got the sense that they actually believed what they were saying or what your takeaway was.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people, believe what they're saying. I just think that like, the echo chambers in the media, especially more fringe media that a lot of these people are consuming, is pretty all-encompassing. And especially the mythology of QAnon, like, consumed a lot of people's lives during this period of time. And it kind of like just became everything they wanted to fight for up until the Capitol riot. So that particular scene where I spoke with that family in Georgia, where it was like that the structure and whole basis of their family was like based upon Q and following that kind of lore, was definitely unsettling for sure. But yeah, it's interesting to see where it is now because, I guess hard QAnon stuff has kind of dissipated in terms of like, no one posts on the Q boards anymore, but it's kind of bled into like mainstream conservative thought.
So here's something to think about. Why is it that people voted for Trump or QAnon gains a following? It's because the people in power, those in Washington, D.C., cause the American people to lose faith in these institutions. For a long time, our politicians, even before Trump became president, even before Obama became a name in everyone's household, we could start with blaming good old Ronnie Boy Reagan, in which America was open and our political system was open to be bought and corrupted, where money is the law of the land. And eventually our media succumbed to that too. Corporations, Wall Street, big banks, hedge fund managers, and so much more, equity firms, well, they're the ones who run the show. They buy our politicians, both Democrats and Republicans. And again, a lot of these corporations control the media. And for the most part, there are millions of Americans that are struggling all across this country trying to make ends meet. You think people voted for Trump in 2016 and in 2020 because their lives are great? No. They went for somebody that told them, like, hey, the system is screwed and rigged. Open transparency, probably the most transparent thing ever said by a presidential candidate. How do I know? Because I've used the system. That's a quote from Trump. He told the American people that that the election system is rigged and that he's used it to benefit him. First Republican primary debate, Trump said, I give these people money, they do what I say. And don't forget, Trump used to be a Democrat. There's a reason why things are the way they are. This didn't happen overnight. Our politicians who've been in power for decades upon decades, built the landscape. And people who have every right to be angry have every right not to trust these institutions that have effectively, whether you like it or not, abandoned us.
Yeah. I do think we should point out a lot of those conspiracies are not from legitimate media. That's from like social media and websites where those things are pushed in like dark corners of the internet.
Oh yeah, but it's like people spend their whole time in these dark corners of the internet, so it feels very real to them, especially because I think the biggest problem is probably media literacy and like taking a lot of this information that's false as fact because of, you're seeing it on Facebook, you're seeing it on Newsmax, you're seeing it on One American News Network, places like that.
Yeah. Andrew Callaghan, thank you very much. Best of luck with this. This Place Rules debuts on HBO and streams on HBO Max. That's on December 30th.
And I will be watching it. But here's a bigger picture though, that for a lot of us, we need to understand. The media has every right, or not the media. We have every right not to trust the media. Take, for example, I want to play some old school, well, not an old school video. Pretty much, I think a lot of you saw this when this first came out, when Sinclair's script for its stations was released. See, all the media, they're designed to be beep, boop, beep robots. Don't believe me? Here's a video. And again, you have jagoffs like Don Lemon who say, how come no one trusts us anymore? We don't agree with that. I don't agree that CNN's causing division or that we're not doing our jobs. Here's an example.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Is this guy even human? I'm sorry. Is this human? Hold on. Just looking at his face right here. Sorry, I'm looking at the live stream chat here too, but hold on. Let's just rewind that. This guy's not human. He can't be.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media.
Okay.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of.
He looks like an animatronic that you see at Disney. That was mean to me. I should not have said that. That was mean. I'm sorry. No, I'm not.
Biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control.
Can someone come up with an original statement? I know these are all professionals. I'm pretty sure maybe they're good people. Maybe. I don't think so. You tell me no one has like a dictionary or a thesaurus that maybe they could come up with something a little bit different. It's like click, copy, paste. Don't forget, like, I'm just going to bring up something that's a little bit different. But when Jimmy Dore was part of TYT and he was covering the Bernie Sanders primary in 2016, when he was out there in the field covering the Bernie Sanders campaign, one thing that he said is that, and again, it's true because I've seen it myself, a lot of these media outlets, they'll click, copy, and paste each other's work. Really, look at some of these articles from corporate media. Do the homework yourself. All of you have the power to do so. It's all the same. This is the state of media. This is why I always say, like, we need independent media because this shit can't fly.
Bias. Agenda control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Yeah.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our.
Hold on. We're going to have a little singing note. Everybody, just listen along. Just follow corporate media because why? You got to trust corporate media. They'll never lie to you. And when you see independent media and they're speaking truth to power, you must say,
and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Say it again now.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Say it again now.
Extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is 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 extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Sing it again
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Say it again now.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Say it
This
again
is
now.
extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is 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 extremely dangerous to our democracy. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I almost was being hypnotized there. You like that little song piece that I did? Testify, folks. Testify. Testify to the... testify to it. Dangerous to our democracy, as always. Everything's such a danger. A danger. But it gets worse, too, because you got to remember, everything that Andrew said in that interview with Don Lemon, I mean, let's face it, corporate media hasn't done its job or its due diligence. Let me just dig up this little gem here, too, from way back when.
Incriminating evidence allegedly found on a laptop belonging to Biden.
Some sort of Russian disinformation campaign effort.
One eternity later.
Biden emails finally authenticated according to the New York Times.
It's
rewind time.
It's a lie. Altered or fake, unverified emails.
The story did not quite land due to the lack of verification.
Listen, can't be verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Why do you say that?
Well, because it can't be verified.
I don't even want to report this. This is one of the most powerful families in Washington.
Liz, I'm a journalist.
Okay, I would love.
Jeez, I'm Christiane Amanpour, and I'm a journalist. I don't have to look at this or do due diligence. You have to trust me. I sit on the big screen.
If you guys would start doing that verification.
No, we're not going to do your work for you.
then you have to do your job. It's a journalist's job. You dumbasses. And again, now you can understand why good old Don Lemon was so angry at Andrew. Like, I don't agree with that. We know what we're doing. No, they don't. Corporate media doesn't know what they're doing. And remember, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, the algorithm favors them because they're authoritative sources. But let's have democracy in the chat. Type 3 if you trust those authoritative sources. You know that they'll never lie to you because it would be a danger to our democracy. Type 4 if you know that all of corporate media purposely covers up for the establishment and keeps you, the average citizen, in the dark.
It's a journalist's job.
Not anymore.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
Not really stories, just pure distractions. No serious journalist should fall for it.
It's a journalist's job to find out if this is verified.
The bottom line is we cannot confirm the story.
Experts say the emails cannot be authenticated.
The mainstream media is not reporting on this story because we can't authenticate this material.
The Hunter Biden laptop material.
Wah, 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 wah. Turns out it was real. And by the way, Martin Vargas, type $2. Hunter's laptop matters. It does. It does.
Material is genuine.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
It just lacks credibility. The fact that it appeared in the New York Post.
The only place low enough to put this orphan bastard story in print.
Obvious disinformation.
It is so obviously a Russian operation.
So obviously disinformation.
So obviously a Russian plot. Tell me why it's so obvious.
So, folks, again, it's obviously clear that they keep doing the same thing over and over again, reading the same script. If you honestly are a diehard Democratic voter and Republican voter and you think CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News aren't lying to you, you're a sucker to me.
Obviously a Russian plot to you.
This is just classic textbook Soviet-Russian tradecraft at work.
Right, exactly. And this is classic, very classic.
Classic Coca-Cola.
Tactic.
That the classic Coca-Cola with the spicy meatball. And yes, I could talk like that because I am Italian, so there you go.
Your classic disinformation campaign.
We shouldn't look at it as anything other than a Russian disinformation operation.
Known Kremlin disinformation.
Russians would be my #1 guess.
Obviously, Russia.
Russian disinformation operation.
Russian disinformation.
Pushing Russian disinformation.
It does bear the hallmarks of Russian disinformation.
Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinfo.
Hunter Biden's laptop looks like it's tied to Vladimir Putin in Moscow.
Is that laptop yours?
I don't know. I truly...
You don't know?
The serious answer is that I truly do not know the answer to that.
Did you leave a laptop with a repairman
Not
in
that I
Wilmington?
remember.
Not that
Not
you
that I
remember?
No.
And everything was fine. Corporate media didn't have to do its due diligence. Oh, wait! Turns out CBS, ABC, MSNBC, and CNN didn't do their job. Remember that. And don't forget that the FBI did everything they could to make sure that Twitter and Facebook would make sure that no one could share that post from the New York Post about the Hunter Biden laptop story. Because I'm pretty sure we all remembered I tried sharing it on Facebook and Twitter, and I was told I couldn't because they were afraid it was disinformation. I sure hope that there were some journalists that looked into that. Oh, wait.
I truly don't know.
Are you missing a laptop?
Not that I know of.
What?
This whole operation looks right out of the Kremlin playbook.
The playbook of Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation put into the haystack.
Russian disinfo.
Sounds like bullshit. I mean, who takes a laptop with their most...
Willa Black says, it's not a big deal. Who hasn't had videos of them smoking some crack?
Personal information, drops it off and never comes back for it.
You read the book and you'll realize that I wasn't keeping tabs on possessions very well for about a 4-year period of time.
For Russian disinformation.
Gee, I wonder why that was, old buddy. Hey, Hunter, you weren't doing something, were you?
Campaign.
Disinformation from disinformation about Joe Biden.
The Biden campaign says this is Russian disinformation.
There's overwhelming evidence that the Russians are engaged. It's a Russian plan.
Russian disinformation.
Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
So could have been yours.
Of course, certainly.
What?
That's
hot.
History will expose you all as fools and useful idiots for the Russians. The idiocy, the sheer idiocy.
50 former intelligence officials signed on to a letter yesterday saying that the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's emails has all of the classic earmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Russia, Giuliani.
Don't trust anything that he's telling you. This is Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation campaign.
Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation campaign. Russian disinformation meant to harm our democracy.
Disinformation by the Russians.
The fruits of a foreign intelligence operation.
Part of that bigger Russian disinformation effort.
A Russian intelligence operation.
Connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
Linked to a foreign intelligence operation.
Connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
Tied to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
Connected to a Russian disinformation campaign.
Linked to a foreign intelligence operation.
Likely coming from Russian intelligence.
So why am I playing this? Because remember, in that first video that I showed you was Case Study QB. Corporate media purposely keeps us divided. Corporate media purposely keeps us in the dark. The establishment will do everything it can to make sure that enough Americans are still brainwashed to participate in the two-party system and to trust the quote-unquote authoritative sources. Remember, it wasn't too long ago where it was deemed as a fact that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Turns out that was a lie. This whole thing about corporate media to be trusted, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, that they're authoritative sources. Many times they've got it wrong. And now these same major corporate media outlets are going bankrupt. They don't have real journalists on their team. And everyone's in there for clout, to have the coveted position to where they can have influence. You have influencers and people who collect a six-figure salary just to purposely sit there and spew out talking points for the establishment. All the while, millions of Americans are homeless or going into debt. We don't have Medicare for all. We don't have student debt forgiveness. Our infrastructure is falling apart. We have unchecked corruption buying off our politicians in both the Democratic and Republican Party. Independents and third parties do not have a voice in our political system. We have the ongoing failure of all of our institutions, as all the while Americans are struggling just to make ends meet. Small business owners are losing everything that they own. And Democratic and Republican lawmakers constantly capitalize on this division that's being done by corporate media. So long as enough people are still brainwashed into the system, nothing will fundamentally change. So I'll be checking out that documentary series that's been done by Andrew Callaghan. I'm going to check it out. And obviously, if it offends the Vote Blue No Matter Who crowd or Don Lemon, all I could say is go suck on a lemon.